developing your next leader. Who needs to build leaders? Cool. Yes, so if you didn't raise your hand, you're wrong. Everyone needs to identify and develop leaders, whether you're a lead consultant, director, or a superstar director, whether you've been doing this for 3 months or 15 years, whether you're at the top of the compensation plan or brand new. Developing leaders is something you will continue to do throughout your career in Scentsy. Even once you reach superstar director, that doesn't stop. You have to keep building leaders forever and ever. So I'm really excited to talk about this with you today. I'm very passionate about this topic. Today we're going to learn how you can find leaders within your already existing organization. I'm going to show you where you can find new leaders, and I'm going to show you what you can do to make more leaders. But first, I'll introduce myself. So I have been with Scentsy since 2010, which seems like yesterday, but I can't believe I've been doing this for this long. I've never done anything this long. It's really incredible that this company has captured my attention and my heart and my spirit for this long. I'm kind of a commitment phobe. And before I found Scentsy, I hopped around to a lot of different things, and I did a lot of different jobs, and I always did really great at them, but I never really found joy. You know, I never really found purpose. I never really found passion. And I found that here in Scentsy, and I'm so grateful. I am a superstar director. I lead an incredible group called the Radiant Rock Stars, and some of them are maybe in here, even though I told you not to come. So rude. But I love my job. I have a 3-year-old daughter. My husband and I have been married for 12 years. And we were married for a decade before we had her. And if you don't know my story, I actually didn't think I wanted to have kids. I was afraid of having children, to be very honest. I didn't think I would be a good mom. And I was afraid that I wouldn't love her like she deserved to be loved. And I grew up in a household that had, honestly, a lot of rules and demanded obedience and respect, but not a lot of mushy-gushy and let me come alongside you and love you and show you around life. So I was really nervous about that. And so I was kind of tough, or so I thought. And then she broke me. And now I'm a wicked softie and I cry all the time, but being her mom is my greatest joy. And being her mom is my favorite job. I love it more than Scentsy, and that's how it should be. So my husband is pretty cool too. His name is Nathan, and I wanted to share with you the text that he sent me, but my friend Fred here is using my phone to record this. I sent my husband a text about an hour ago, and I said, I have a nervous tummy. I haven't done this in a long time, you know, and so I get nervous sometimes. And he said, you're gonna do great, babe. He said, they don't call you the queen for nothing. So I thought that was really sweet, and I just wanted to share that with you because I have the best husband in the world too. So enough about me. What I'm gonna teach you today might shock you a little bit. You might think that you're here to learn some kind of secret sauce or magic system or incredible formula that you can plug into the workstation and boom, you have directors. But it might shock you a little bit to learn that I'm probably going to challenge that whole idea and let you know that building leaders has a lot more to do with you than you think. Building leaders has a lot more to do with your performance and your mindset and your abilities than you think. You are more in control of the situation than you think, because we all like to say things like, well, I can't make them work. And you can lead a horse to water, right? We all like to say those things. But a lot of it is more in your control, and I'm going to challenge that with you today. One of my favorite leadership gurus, John C. Maxwell, teaches that leaders do 3 great things. They know the way, they go the way, and they show the way. And that's going to be the whole premise for what I talk to you about today. A lot of people are really great at 1 or 2 of those things naturally. Naturally, you might be really inclined to knowing the way or going the way, or the most rare that you would be inclined to do is showing the way, but maybe that's your skill set. Or maybe you have a combo of both, but very, very few people are excellent at doing all 3 things, knowing, going, and showing the way. I want to have a little repeat after me. My personal growth determines how far I'll go. Ready? My personal growth determines how far I will go. You and your commitment to growing personally is going to have the greatest impact on your ability to build leaders. And that might sound totally crazy, because you're like, they gotta do it, and they gotta reach director, and they gotta meet their numbers, and they've gotta do all these things, but your commitment to growing yourself here and here is what's gonna have the greatest impact on how many and how far your impact goes and how many leaders you will build. Foundationally, we have to be committed to personal growth. We must be willing to do the hard work. We must be willing to constantly do self-evaluations and receive criticism from mentors. We have to take what we learn and change our behaviors to be better. We must be willing to admit fault. We must be willing to personally accept responsibility. We must be willing also to take charge and not ever, ever, ever put our success in the hands of another person. Your success is your responsibility and not someone else's. Now, I can see that already some of you are a little uncomfortable when I said take criticism from mentors. Either taking criticism is hard, or you might say, I don't have a mentor. Anyone feel like they don't have a mentor? Okay. I have felt that way, and sometimes I still do feel that way. The reality is I just want to let you know this. First of all, you don't need a mentor, okay? You can be really great and super successful without a mentor. But if that's something that you want, you can be mentored by someone that doesn't even know they're mentoring you, okay? Go find them on Instagram, go find them on YouTube, go find them on Facebook, meet them at an in-person event, go to their breakout, and allow that person to speak into your life in such a way that you are mentored by them and they don't even know it, okay? If that's something you seek, go find it. Because remember this, no one is coming to your rescue, okay? And I know that sounds bleak, but it's true. It's not bleak. In fact, it's empowering. No one is coming to your rescue. You are your rescue, and the responsibility is yours. So let's talk about knowing the way. Before you can even build leaders, you must identify who you want to work with. And in order to identify who you want to work with, you must know exactly what you're looking for. So, number one, you have to know the comp plan. You gotta know what each level requires. You gotta know how much GWB is required for a star consultant. How many active frontline do they need? And what does that GWB equate to in PRV? You gotta know what their bonuses are. In order to identify people in your downline that you want to work with that are coming up through the ranks, you have to know the compensation plan. And if this is difficult for you or you feel like it's a weak spot, make it your strength. Anything can become your strength if you're willing to work hard at it enough. If you feel like numbers are hard or any of these things are difficult, challenge yourself to make it your strength. And also, just so you know, there's a great YouTube video by Jackie Duran on the compensation plan, JACQUI. Go look her up on YouTube, look up her compensation plan video. It's incredibly thorough, very, very good, and will help you. So number one, know the comp plan. Number two, know the methodology. What I mean by that is you should know all of the ways that anyone could build a business in Scentsy. You should know all of the ways that anyone can sell Scentsy. Home parties, social selling, influencer style. You should know online parties. You should know in-person events. You should know fundraisers. You should know all of the things. You don't have to be great at all of them. You don't have to love all of them. And it's okay if one of these things is a passion for you or one of these things is your strong suit. But as a leader, in order to identify and work with leaders coming up, you can't help someone with their online party if you've never done one. You can't help someone and teach them how to do an event if you've never stretched yourself and tried to do it yourself, at least once. Number three, you have to know how to use the workstation reporting to your advantage. Did you know that you can create a report in the workstation and save certain parameters so then when you want to identify someone later on, it's a one-click for you? You can go and you can say, I want to see who is about to promote to star, okay? So you can set the parameters at 500 PRV for a minimum, 1,500 TWV for a minimum, 1 or 2 active frontline for a minimum, whatever you think. And then that's going to pull up a report You can save that report and call it Promote to Star. Okay, so that way every month on the 10th, on the 15th, on the 20th, you can go and click that and see who's about to promote to star. You can set those parameters for lead, for superstar, for certified, for all of the things. You have to know how to use the workstation reporting to your advantage because it's going to make you more efficient in the long run. Here's what I look for in workstation reporting. Pretty simple. Who do I want to work with? High PRVers, right? Seems like everybody should know that. High recruiters. Those are the easy standouts, super easy to identify. But my favorite thing to look for is consistency. Because consistency is what builds a great business. What you do consistently is what adds up to big success over time. So I look for those who are consistent. I'd rather work with someone who has 700 PRV every month than someone who has 4,000 and then isn't even active and then has 1,000 and then maybe is like at 100 or got a, I'd rather work with someone who's consistent. Look for consistency in your downline. Another thing to look for is participation in communities. This is huge. If you have a social group, Facebook, Instagram, I don't know, whatever everybody uses these days, but if you have a social group somewhere and someone is participating, it means they are invested, it means they like it means they want to be there, and you can work with that. You can work with that. Look for participation in your communities. That's a huge one that people miss all the time. I like to look for sharers, those who share ideas often, freely. Even if it's an idea that you think is silly or something you wouldn't normally share or doesn't connect with you, I like to look for those who are willing to share. Because isn't that also what we do here? That's our vibe, right? And we want to create more leaders who share. My second favorite thing to look for is the dreamer. You can teach anyone how to sell and recruit, but you cannot teach people how to dream. So I want to look for dreamers. I want to look for people who have big dreams and high hopes and crazy out there ideas. Those people I can work with. I can teach them the skills. I can teach them to sell and recruit and party and mentor and grow personally, but I can't teach someone how to dream or think big or put something crazy on their dream board. I want to work with those people. Look for the dreamers. Someone said this once and it really stuck with me. She said, you don't need a to-do list, you need a who list. When you are, and that applies to anything in your business, okay? Follow-up, prospecting, recruiting, all of it, but definitely when it comes to identifying leaders in your downline, you need a who list. So you should be using these identifiers to find who you want to work with. Don't give yourself a list of tasks. Look for people to connect with. All right, go the way. This is, in my opinion, the most important step, okay? All three of the steps have equal value, but this is the most important. Because people will do what you do, and people will not do what you do not do. You must go the way. It's that simple. If you're just getting by, so will they. If you're complaining, so will they. If you are inconsistent, so will they. If you ghost on your business or your customers or your team, so will they. However, likewise, if you are consistent, so will they be. If you work hard, so will they be. If you challenge yourself, so will they. If you listen to podcasts, so will they. If you grow yourself, so will they. If you earn incentive trips, so will they. If you sell high and be brave and be bold, so will they. Isn't that what you want? Isn't that how you develop leaders? By people who are bold and brave and challenging themselves and learning and growing? They will do what you do. People will do what you do. This is why going the way is the most important. Now I want you to know that this isn't a magic formula with 100% participation, because some of you are like, bro, I'm going the way, and nobody's coming with me. It's not 100% participation. It might be 1% participation. It might be 2% or 5% or 9 or 10 if you're really lucky. But I need you to hear this and let it sink in and accept it. Not everyone's here for the same reason you are, and that has to be okay with you. Not everyone's going to build their business the same way you do, and that has to be okay with you. Not everyone wants the same things that you want out of this business, and that has to be okay with you. When you accept this, when you allow them the creative freedom, or even just the emotional freedom to build their business or do what they want in their business, it gives you freedom. It frees you up to be a better consultant, a better spouse, a better partner, a better parent. You're more emotionally free because you're not like bogged down by the weight of, well man, they really disappointed me. Has anyone ever been disappointed in a downline before? Yeah, and those of you who don't have your hands up are lying. We get disappointed in our downline because we have expectations of them that they don't deserve. They don't deserve to have expectations put on them, just like you don't deserve to have expectations put on you, except for that you impose them yourself. All I can say is be the person you'd want to follow. Be the consultant you'd want to buy from. Build the business that you admire. If you see someone's business and admire it, build that business. Be the leader that you wish you had. Build the life you want to live. In order to build leaders, which is why you're all here, you must first yourself be a leader. So, in going the way, number one, go big or go home. Your people will not do what you do not do, so don't be selling 500 PRV a month. Okay? And wonder why no rock stars are emerging in your organization. Don't be selling 500 PRV or just barely getting active or, like just skulking by or not challenging yourself and trying something new and wonder why your downline are also just getting by. Go big or go home. Number two, strive for annual mentor. Strive for annual mentor award. It is no secret that in order to build leaders in this organization, you must first recruit them. So why in the heck would recruiting not be a focus for everyone in this room? Why would that not be your number one, tippy top priority? Because you want to know where you find your next leaders? You recruit them. Recruiting must be a priority for you. Strive for annual mentor award. By the way, that's like forever and ever and ever for eternity. Amen. You must always meet new people and recruit them. You have to do that for the rest of your life. It doesn't stop. So just put it in your head now. Earn incentives from Scentsy. Number three, earn the incentives. Scentsy's incentives are designed to reward us for the very basic good things that build a good business. When you're doing the things that are rewarded by an incentive, you will have natural leaders emerge. I promise. I also want you to know that I don't think you're a bad leader if you don't earn incentives, okay? But I do think that you're selling yourself short. And I do think you're probably giving into a couple of excuses, like life, or kids, or COVID, but everyone else in the world has life and kids and COVID, and school. You're not a bad leader if you don't earn incentives, but you are selling yourself short because you are entirely and completely capable. And if you sell yourself short and say things that pacify yourself, remember your team does what you do, so what will they do? They'll sell themselves short too. And they'll say things that make excuses and pacify their desire. Next is participate in your own personal growth. It is absolutely crucial. I'm not sure you will ever understand the depth of the connection between you growing personally and being able to lead someone well. You will never know how important it is for you to be constantly training your mind, training your heart, growing yourself, challenging yourself. And also, they do what you do. You want them to be doing this too. All of these things, going the way is about not only becoming the best version of you and leading from the front and all of this, but going the way is about modeling behaviors. That's how you build leaders, guys. You model the behaviors. You model the behaviors that you want. What makes a great leader? All of these things. Model the behaviors that you want to see and you will have leaders emerge. Next, and this might sound a little crazy, but it's really important to find your own deep purpose. Purpose is absolutely intrinsic to staying committed, especially when things get hard. And things get hard. And I didn't say stay motivated when things get hard, because motivation sucks. and it's not real. You can't rely on it. But commitment is quite real and quite reliable. Your purpose is what pulls you in when all of the forces of the world are pushing you out. And Orville, in his wisdom, always says, when you know your why, you can endure almost anyhow. When you know your deep, passionate purpose, you will figure it out. You will find a way. Nothing will derail you. It doesn't have to make you cry. Just say no. I know there's that weird saying, like, your why is to make you cry, but that's a lie. It doesn't have to be emotional. It doesn't have to be my family. But it can be your family if you want it to be. It does have to matter to you, though. And it does have to drive you, and it does have to be deeply rooted in your soul, and it does have to be about something more than money or a title. Find your deep, passionate purpose. Do the hard work here. Do you know what I was passionate about in the beginning of Scentsy? Extra money. That's what I was passionate about. We were broke, living paycheck to paycheck. I didn't get this whole thing. I just joined Scentsy because I wanted extra money. That's what I was passionate about. But you know what I'm passionate about now, 12 years into this business? Helping others change their circumstances and helping women discover who they really are and be comfortable being that person 100% of the time. My passion has absolutely nothing to do with wax or scents or how good my car smells. But those products and this company fulfill my passion. You don't have to be passionate about the air purifier. You don't have to be passionate about what the new fragrances are for the fall, even though we all love and are obsessed with them. What you have to be passionate about is your purpose and connecting your business to your purpose and showing yourself how your business amplifies and fulfills your purpose. And this is also modeling a behavior that you want to see in an up-and-coming leader. And when you do the hard work of finding your purpose, you can help them do the hard work of finding their purpose. You can help them find out what questions should they ask, where should they go deeper. Because your up-and-coming leaders need to have a deep, passionate purpose to stay committed when things get hard. Because if you're a lead consultant or you're a star consultant and you don't get paid a title, that can derail someone. Unless they're committed and their purpose is so deep and powerful and it's connected to their business. Do you see why that's important? Whew. Showing the way. Listen, leadership isn't for the faint of heart, okay? It's not. But you are not the faint of heart. Leadership is hard. It's a lot. It's weighty. It's a responsibility. It's challenging. But in Scentsy, the cool thing about leadership and being a leader in Scentsy is that your leadership is rewarded with income. Orville once put it this way. He said something like, the higher you go in Scentsy, the larger your organization is, you are compensated equally for the amount of pain that you endure. It's not painful to be a superstar director, but what he means is, well, maybe some days, but what he means is the amount of emotional energy, the amount of leading, the amount of working, introspection, the amount of time you have to answer a call, the amount of time you have to respond, you're compensated equally for that financially, and in so many other ways that are intangible that we can't really even get into. But I want you to know that you can do this, okay? You can do leadership. You can do hard things. You can do all of these things that you might hear and be like, that's a lot, or like, that's not my personality, or that's not how I want to do things, or I have just been getting by with PRV, or I didn't earn annual mentor award, and I didn't earn the last incentive trip, so I guess I'm not out, and I guess I can't be a leader, and I guess I can't build leaders. No, you can do this. You can change because you have the choice. And you can decide now that you're going to step up your game and that you're ready to go and be the leader that you would want to follow. The difference between a leader and a follower is simply your commitment to the growth process. Remember when we said in the beginning that your own personal growth determines how far you go? That's the difference between a leader and a follower. A follower is not committed to growing, and a leader is committed to growing. Right now, I want you to decide that you can be an incredible leader. I just need you to decide that right now. Because if you've ever heard me talk before, you might have heard me say, every battle you ever face is won or lost in your mind. Your mind is where this all begins. And if you say, I can't, or I won't, or that's not in my skill set, or I'm too young, or too old, or too new, or I'm dried up, or I'm no longer relevant, if you say any of those things, that's going to manifest in your life and in your business. But every battle you ever face is won or lost in your mind. Everything that you need to be a leader and everything that I'm talking about today is a learned skill, which means every single person here has the same capacity to learn the skills and become a leader who creates leaders. Everything that you need to create leader is a learned skill. It's not something that's natural, and some people are born with it and some people aren't, which means you just poop out of luck, right? No, it's all a learned skill, which means you have the same capacity. Showing the way is the step that separates small businesses from big, huge, giant, monumental, life-changing, giant impact, huge reach, generational wealth type of businesses. Showing the way is the difference. And I said going the way was the most important because you cannot show the way, which is what you need to build a giant business, but you cannot show the way if you have not first gone the way. Do you see? Superstar directors are experts at showing the way. You do not get to superstar director without being an expert at showing the way. Showing the way is essentially your ability to teach your downline. And the reality is, most of you probably became a leader without being shown the way. And that's okay. But it's the same for me. So this step is the one that I struggle with the most. Showing the way is personally where I have the most difficult time. Because I don't really know what it looks like. So I'm just kind of learning as I go, flying by the seat of my pants, creating it as I see what's necessary. And I'm also learning from my own mistakes, editing my behaviors and changing them so that I can bring about the results that I want. Showing your downline is just teaching your team what you have done. Mentoring, coaching, sharing, these are all buzzwords around showing the way. You gotta get good at sharing what you are doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, and you've gotta share it over and over and over and over again and repeat forever and ever, amen, until the end of time, amen. Because, and you might think, gosh, this is repetitive or this is boring, but hopefully you have new people coming into your organization every day, every week, every month, and they need to learn those things. Also, sometimes someone needs to hear something like 20 bajillion times before it freaking sinks in. Yourself included.
Amen.
So it should be done corporately. This showing the way should be done corporately. You can do this with Facebook groups. You can do this with leadership development programs. You can do this with collectives with other leaders. You can get together with other leaders and throw like a pop-up training. You can have a great way that people, you know how we have those full days in Scentsy with all those amazing speakers all day long? That's a great way of doing it. But it should also be done privately. And there are many methods to do it privately. There's coaching, texting, Zoom, Google Forms. You can do it in person. You can have coffee. You can have a conversation. There's a lot. And honestly, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of training on this very topic. Coaching your downline. Now I just want to tackle a couple of them. First one is leadership development programs. If you've never done one, I highly encourage you to stretch yourself and do it. And probably now is a really good time as we're going into fall, we're going into incentive earning season. You could do something called Leap to Lead, which I think was designed by Laura Godwin, and all these things you can look up online. I promise you all the resources are out there. I'm not even going to go there today. Leap to Lead, Laura Godwin, Start to Star. This is a program where you have people maybe for 8 weeks in a group, and you bring them together, and you have weekly trainings, and they have homework, and you have assignments and accountability. And also, these leaders tend to find other people who are on the same path as them, and they hold each other accountable, and they build friendships and relationships. And that, by the way, is also a really, really strong part of becoming a leader or helping others become leaders, is helping them build relationships. Hustle to Director, that program is created by Stacey Behringer. You can look that up on YouTube as well if you want to help create directors in your downline. There's so many different things you can do, but adapt to make it your own. Invite other leaders to come and join you. Do a leadership development program. I promise you, you have what it takes. And just dive in. Maybe you start with a 2-week program. Maybe you start with a 1-day shindig. Just take action and move. Facebook groups, number 2, or other social media platforms, team groups, whatever you have on Facebook. These can take a long time to establish culture and get engagement. I need you to know that. If you are a leader with a smaller team, or if you're new to leadership, or maybe you have a giant team and you don't really have a great Facebook team community, these can take a very long time to build culture and engagement. And it only comes through consistently sharing again and again the message of your brand, the message of your culture, what you want your team to look like, feel like, sound like, be like. Stay the course, I promise you it will happen. Just as a little tip, everyone is in your team for a different reason, and so if you want to invite leaders to come up and emerge in your downline or find people who want to emerge, you want to have the largest reach possible. You have to have the greatest impact. So the reason you're in Scentsy, you probably naturally are inclined to make posts or do trainings or talk about that topic over and over and over again. You've got to make sure you stretch yourself and hit people who are there for the products. Go and unbox your Warmer of the Month kit. And I know this sounds like, how does this build leaders? What you're doing is you're creating a culture and an environment where leaders are free to rise up. And you can't do that if you haven't connected with them. Talk about paycheck increase and material blessings for those people who are here for the money. Talk about personal development for those people who are here to grow. And then people who are here for the community, just do some fun things that are non-Scentsy. These are ways to engage all the people in your group and have the farthest reach. They all expand your scope of influence. Team meetings, this is another way, in person or virtual. You're modeling the behaviors of leadership by hosting these things, but you're also giving yourself opportunities to connect with your downline. And when you connect with your downline, that's where leaders happen. That's where leaders come from. They come from the relationships that you build with them. Coaching. Does anyone hate coaching? Okay, you're lying too. Why are you guys such liars? Coaching, one-on-one, success sessions, coaching calls, whatever you want to call them. The purpose of coaching is twofold. To one, connect with your downline. And number 2, help your teammates self-discover, keyword, self-discover, what their own goals are and how they best work. Coaching creates accountability too, and that's really the whole point. These are my coaching best practices, okay? And I'm speaking with the coach of coaches in the back room, so don't judge me, Susan. Coaching best practices. Number 1, let them set their own goals. Please, for the love of all things. Don't tell them their goals. Don't tell them what they should do. They have to be bought into it and set their own goals. 2, ask open-ended questions that get them thinking, avoiding talking about how they feel. Because then it turns into a therapy session. And you know what I'm talking about. 3, always encourage them to dig a little deeper by continually asking why. Number 4, this is hard. Resist the temptation to give them answers or solutions. This is a learned skill, okay? This is a learned skill. It's very difficult because you probably know the answer, you probably have an idea, or you could fix their problem really easily, but they have to self-discover it. When they present a problem, instead of offering a solution, ask them what they've already tried. What have you already tried? Then ask them if they've really done absolutely everything they could do. And I promise you there'll be something else that they think of that they could do. What number am I on? 6? 5. Never leave a coaching call without an action plan or next steps. Never leave a coaching call that was just like fuzzy, feel good, nice to connect, talk to you next time. We have to do something in order to talk to you next time. 6, whatever you do, make sure it's duplicatable. Because one day you'll have a team of 100, and a team of 1,000, and a team of 10,000. And if you have 1-hour coaching calls with everybody who wants to, you'll quit. Whatever you do, make sure it's duplicatable. Keep it timed 15 to 30 minutes. My lead to superstar consultants get 15 minutes, and my directors and above get 30 minutes. When they're short like that, you only have so much time, you have to get right to the point. Can't talk about feelings. She's like jaw dropped down here. 45 minutes, no, thank you. Nope, that's not duplicatable. Keep it about business and work hard to not let it get off track. But the first step to having good one-on-ones is having them show up, right? Having your downline actually sign up and then actually show up to your one-on-ones. The secret for this is, number one, you, the leader, must be trustworthy. You also must understand that not everyone will show up, and you will show up for the ones who do show up. And you leave the rest. Doesn't mean you don't care about them, you don't want good things for them, but you don't chase them. You show up for those who show up. I don't care if they're an essential consultant, or a director, or a superstar director. If someone ghosts on you, it's up to them to get back to you. A lot of the things that I'm talking about are really focused on building culture and community, but that's what you need to grow leaders. You need culture and community. You need to create a place, foster an environment where people feel free to rise up and be the leader that's already inside them. They all have it inside them. But what you can do is create an environment where that's free to come out, where you can help them uncover that. One of the things that I think is the most important in showing the way is relationship. When you're engaged in personal relationship with your team members, you will learn how they best learn, you'll discover what their strengths are, you'll be able to speak with validity in their lives and in their businesses, you'll care, you'll know their love language, which is to say you'll know how they best receive what you have to give. That's how you can best reach them. All of this takes incredible intentionality, compassion, understanding, and grace on your part. All of this takes leading from the front, modeling the behaviors, but it also takes putting yourself last and serving their needs above your own. And that's a really hard balance. What does it mean to lead from the front, model all the behaviors, but then at the same time, eat last, right? And serve them first. That's something that you only learn by trying and doing it. It's something that you only learn by maturation in your leadership skills. In closing, I want you to go on a little self-evaluation journey. Look at your business and ask yourself a few things. Where can I do more? Where can I give more? Where can I learn more? And where can I grow more? Now, I'm not asking you to add things in, because if you know me, you know that simple is the name of my game. I'm not asking you to add more things to your plate. What I am asking you to do is look at your business and find the very simple, basic things that you need to do and do them excellently. Refine them. Refine your focus. Cut out all the fluff, remove all the distractions, because not only are you modeling this behavior to help nurture and create leaders, but you're helping yourself not lose your freaking mind. You're helping yourself enjoy your business. You're helping yourself be free. Be focused on the basics and do the one. It's that simple. The people who have the biggest businesses in Scentsy, they just do the basics and they do them really well. That's it. There's no other secret formula. Then I want you to break down your activities and make a plan to change things going home. In the 3 areas, what do you need to do in the knowing the way? What do you need to do in going the way? What do you need to do in showing the way? And lastly, which area needs the most attention? I do think it's sort of progressional. Start by becoming an expert at knowing the way, and then move on to being an expert at going the way and modeling the behaviors, and then move on to being an expert at showing the way. I want you to know it's absolutely not beyond the scope of your abilities to do this, okay? I'm no one special. I have 0 marketing experience, except for that I have taught myself throughout my career in Scentsy. I have 0 leadership experience, except for that I have taught myself throughout my career in Scentsy. I have 0 business experience, except for that I have taught myself throughout my career in Scentsy. I have 0 public speaking experience, except for that I have taught myself throughout my experience in Scentsy. And for evidence of this, you can look at my early YouTube videos. They're terrible. But let that be a lesson to you. The only way to get better is by doing. I don't have any of those things, so what I do have is a deep purpose. And I need 2 more minutes. I'm going to tell you a very short story. I went to my first SFR in Fort Worth, Texas in, I don't remember, 2011 maybe. And I was so inspired by what happened there. And so inspired by what I saw. I was a superstar consultant, went by myself, knew no one, and it blew my mind that people were doing this for a full-time career. It blew my mind that couples were doing this together. It blew my mind that people had earned trips and that their name was on the wall. They got to walk across the stage. It was crazy. And Heidi gave this speech about a bull and being the one, and talking about a bull. One bull starts a stampede. It takes one bull to move in a direction with force and purpose and take action. And that one bull can influence all these other bulls to come with them, and a stampede is unstoppable and powerful. And I remember hearing her talk, and I thought, I want to be of the one. I want to be of the one. And I left that session, and I went into the bathroom, and I got into a stall, and I opened my flip phone. 2011. I opened my flip phone, and I called my husband, who was very, very successful in his career. And I had this little, 25-year-old girl. Honey, I'm going to retire you one day. And he said, okay. He's very, very successful, and he's very driven, and he's very focused on traditional 9 to 5. He didn't get it. And that's okay, because he wasn't there. But I'm proud to say that in 2019, I retired my husband from his career. And I say all that to say this. I don't have anything that you need to build a business, but I did have a deep, passionate purpose. And I still have a deep, passionate purpose to this day. I was so inspired and motivated and purposefully driven to do that for my husband and for our family that kept me going even when it was hard. And even when something seemed insurmountable and there was a skill that I certainly didn't have and it was scary to learn, I was driven by my deep purpose. Find your deep purpose, put in the hard work. Eleanor Roosevelt said this. She said, a good leader inspires people to have confidence in the leader. But a great leader inspires people to have confidence in themselves. You can know the way, and you can be amazing at showing the way all you want, but no one will trust you if you aren't going the way. And that is what you can do to build more leaders.